The night sky over the research station glimmered with an unusual stillness. Lieutenant J. Park leaned against the reinforced glass window, his breath creating a small fog patch in the cold, sterile environment. Outside, the mountain ranges of Chile's remote observation center stretched endlessly, silent and unaware of the moment that would change human history forever. A soft beeping interrupted the silence. Monitoring screens flickered, displaying a complex pattern of electromagnetic signals that didn't match any known terrestrial or satellite communication. Jay's hand instinctively moved to the communication console, his trained fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "Control, this is Observation Point Delta. We have an unusual signal." He spoke into the microphone, his voice calm and professional. The signal grew stronger, mathematically perfect, yet completely alien. Within minutes, the entire research facility buzzed with nervous energy. Scientists from different departments crowded around screens, their excited whispers filling the room. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the lead astrophysicist, adjusted her glasses. "This isn't random interference. This is deliberate communication." Hours passed. The signal continued, a rhythmic pulse that seemed to carry complex information. Global communication networks were alerted. Military installations worldwide went into high alert. Governments that rarely agreed on anything suddenly found themselves in emergency conference calls. Jay watched as translation algorithms worked. Over time, computer systems struggled to decode the intricate mathematical language. Then suddenly, words formed. Clear, precise, chilling. Inhabitants of planetary system Sol 3. We are the collective. Your civilization has been monitored. Preparation for integration is required, the message repeated. No emotion, no negotiation. Pure statement of intent. In Washington, President Michael Chen assembled his top advisors. Intelligence agencies scrambled. Military strategists mapped potential defense scenarios. The world held its breath. The next transmission came 12 hours later. This time, visual data accompanied the message. Strange geometric ships appeared on screens across military and research facilities. Massive, incomprehensible, technology beyond human understanding. Surrender is mandatory, the message continued. Resistance will result in complete elimination. J. Park watched the transmission with a mixture of fear and determination. Something in his military training, something deep in human spirit, rejected total submission. Around him, scientists and military personnel shared the same look, a combination of terror and defiance. Global reaction was instantaneous. Some nations panicked, others prepared defensive measures. Military budgets were immediately expanded. Research facilities received unlimited funding. Every technological resource became focused on a single goal: understanding and potentially defending against this alien threat. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's team worked continuously. They analyzed every fragment of the transmission, seeking weaknesses, understanding patterns. Her junior researchers barely slept, fueled by coffee and an overwhelming sense of purpose. "We are not alone," she would tell her team repeatedly. "But being not alone doesn't mean we're defenseless." Military installations worldwide began mobilizing. Soldiers who had trained for conventional warfare now found themselves preparing for something entirely unprecedented. Naval fleets repositioned. Satellite networks were reconfigured. Every global communication system was placed on high alert. The collective's message remained constant. No emotional variation, no room for discussion. Pure technological communication that suggested a civilization entirely different from human understanding. J. Park knew something fundamental had changed. Humanity's perception of itself, of its place in the universe, had been permanently altered in less than 24 hours. As the first transmission day concluded, one thing became clear. Humanity faced a choice: submit or fight. And despite the overwhelming technological superiority demonstrated by the collective, something fundamental in human nature resisted total capitulation. President Chen's first official address captured this sentiment perfectly. Standing before a global audience, he spoke words that would be remembered in human history. "We did not choose this moment. but we will define our response. The first day of alien contact ended, but humanity's real journey was just beginning. In research stations, military bases, government offices, and ordinary homes across the planet, people looked up at the night sky differently. No longer was it a canvas of distant, beautiful stars. It was now a potential battlefield, a place of unknown threats and unprecedented challenges. The universe had just become much smaller and much larger, all at the same time. The first alien ships appeared without warning, silent, massive, impossible to comprehend. Seoul was the first major city to feel the invasion's full force. Massive metallic structures descended from the sky, blocking out sunlight. Military jets scrambled, their missiles looking like toy weapons against the enormous alien vessels. Within minutes, entire city blocks disappeared in massive energy pulses. Jay Park watched from a backup military command center. His hands gripped the communication console so tightly his knuckles turned white. Military communication channels exploded with panic and confusion. Multiple targets confirmed. They're targeting infrastructure, a young radio operator shouted. Across the globe, similar scenes unfolded. New York's skyline crumbled. London's historic buildings became dust. Tokyo's advanced technological centers were vaporized in seconds. The collective's invasion wasn't just an attack. It was systematic destruction. Military defenses proved useless. Alien energy shields absorbed. Nuclear strikes like raindrops. Conventional weapons disappeared before even reaching their targets. Humanity's most advanced technological achievements looked primitive compared to the invaders' capabilities. Lieutenant Hyun Lee watched from an underground research facility. Her team of scientists had been preparing potential defensive strategies, but nothing could have prepared them for this level of technological superiority. They're not just attacking, she whispered to her colleague. They're systematically removing our ability to resist. Communication networks collapsed. Global positioning. Systems went dark. Military satellites became space debris. The collective's first strike was designed to blind and isolate human resistance before the actual ground invasion began. Refugee movements started immediately. Millions fled major cities. Rural areas became improvised survival zones. Governments lost control within hours. Military chains of command broke down. Panic spread faster than information. President David Kim addressed the nation, his voice barely maintaining composure. We will resist. We will survive. But survival seemed impossible. The aliens didn't just destroy buildings. They seemed to study human resistance patterns. Each strike was calculated. Each energy pulse targeted specific infrastructure, power grids, communication centers, military bases, research facilities. In Chile, Jay Park's research station became one of the few remaining communication points. Their advanced underground design and remote location provided temporary protection. Scientists and military personnel worked together, gathering every possible piece of information about the invaders. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's team discovered something unusual. The alien attacks, despite their technological superiority, followed specific mathematical patterns, almost like a complex algorithm was guiding their destruction. They're not random, she explained to her colleagues. These attacks are following a precise computational model. Military survivors began regrouping. Small resistance units formed in unexpected locations. Underground networks, remote mountain bases, isolated islands. Humanity's survival instinct kicked in. The collective seemed surprised by human adaptability. Their initial invasion plan hadn't anticipated such rapid reorganization. Weeks into the invasion, major population centers were reduced to smoking ruins. Millions were dead. Entire countries had ceased to exist as functioning societies. But small pockets of human resistance continued. Hyun Lee's research team developed the first prototype of what would become a critical defensive technology, a quantum communication device that could potentially disrupt alien communication networks. We might be able to find a weakness, she told her exhausted team. We just need time. Time was the one resource becoming increasingly scarce. The invasion continued. methodical, precise, overwhelming, but something the collective hadn't calculated was human spirit, the ability to adapt, to resist, to survive against impossible odds. Park looked at the global map. Red markers showed destroyed cities. Blue markers showed remaining resistance points. Despite the devastation, those blue markers weren't disappearing. Humanity was wounded, bleeding, almost broken, but not defeated. Not yet. The initial invasion had succeeded in destroying human technological infrastructure, but it had failed to break human spirit, and that would become the collective's greatest miscalculation. Night fell. Alien ships continued their systematic destruction. But in hidden research stations and underground bunkers and small resistance groups, humans were already planning their response. The real war was just beginning. The mountains of Peru became humanity's first real resistance headquarters. Captain Sung Choi understood that traditional military strategies would fail against the collective's technological superiority. Small groups of survivors gathered. Scientists, former soldiers, engineers, ordinary people with extraordinary determination. They weren't an army. They were something more dangerous, desperate humans with nothing left to lose. Yun Li's research team had developed a critical discovery. The alien communication network had a fundamental weakness, a quantum frequency, vulnerability that could potentially disrupt their entire coordination system. "We can't fight them directly," she explained to the resistance leaders, "but we can confuse them." Their first operation targeted a small alien outpost in the Andes. 20 volunteers, basic equipment, improvised weapons, nothing traditional. Military strategists would consider a viable mission. Captain Choi selected team members carefully, not for their military experience, but for their adaptability. A former taxi driver who knew mountain terrain, a computer programmer who understood complex network systems, a medical student who could improvise medical solutions. The mission seemed impossible. The aliens had energy shields, advanced scanning technologies, weapons that could vaporize entire buildings. But humans had something the collective didn't understand: unpredictability. Their first attack was brilliant in its simplicity. Using modified radio equipment and Hyun Lee's quantum disruption prototype, they created massive communication interference. Alien drones suddenly lost coordination. Navigation systems went haywire. For the first time since the invasion began, the collective looked vulnerable. Small resistance groups across the world started adapting similar strategies. In the Australian outback, a group of miners used underground tunnel networks to launch surprise attacks. In Canadian wilderness, indigenous survival experts taught resistance members how to move without detection. Each successful mission became a beacon of hope. News traveled through underground communication networks. Encrypted messages, old-fashioned radio signals, handwritten notes passed between survivors. The collective's response was predictably algorithmic. They would locate and destroy resistance points, but humans kept moving, kept changing tactics, kept surprising their technologically superior enemies. Park, now a key resistance coordinator, understood the psychological warfare element. "We're not trying to win every battle," he told his team. "We're trying to prove we can't be easily defeated." Their strategies evolved rapidly. Biological warfare experts developed methods to jam alien scanning technologies. Computer programmers created viruses that could temporarily disable alien communication networks. Engineers modified existing technologies to create unexpected weapons. One remarkable mission involved using an old telecommunications satellite. By carefully manipulating its communication frequencies, they managed to send false signals that confused alien tracking systems. Dr. Elena Rodriguez's team discovered something even more critical. The collective's computational systems, despite their advanced nature, followed predictable problem-solving algorithms. If humans could introduce enough randomness, they could create strategic vulnerabilities. "They understand logic," she explained, "but they struggle with genuine unpredictability." Resistance camps started forming in unexpected locations: remote mountain regions, dense forest areas, isolated islands. places where technology was less dependent and human survival skills became more important. Training became crucial. Not traditional military training, but survival training. How to move without detection, how to communicate without technology, how to adapt and survive. Children learned alongside adults. Survival was no longer about age or traditional roles. Everyone contributed. Everyone mattered. The collective began to realize something was fundamentally different about human resistance. Their invasion algorithms hadn't calculated for a species that could adapt so quickly. That could turn limitations into strengths. Captain Choi's team continued their guerrilla-style missions. Small, quick, unpredictable. Each mission provided critical intelligence about alien technologies and communication systems. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, humanity was learning how to fight back. They weren't winning, not yet, but they were proving something fundamental. That technological superiority didn't guarantee victory. That spirit, creativity, and determination could challenge even the most advanced enemy. As another mountain sunset painted the Peruvian resistance headquarters, Captain Choi looked at his diverse team, scientists, soldiers, civilians, all united by a single purpose: survival, resistance, hope. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was just getting started. The abandoned semiconductor factory in Taiwan became humanity's most important secret research center. Hyun-Lee worked without sleep, her fingers moving across holographic displays, searching for the breakthrough that could change everything. Months of resistance had taught them one critical lesson: the collective's technological superiority was also their greatest weakness. Their computational systems, while advanced, followed strict logical patterns. Predictability was their fatal flaw. Dr. Elena Rodriguez discovered something extraordinary during a late-night analysis. The alien communication network operated on a quantum entanglement principle, but with a critical vulnerability. Each communication node had a precise mathematical synchronization point that could be disrupted. "We don't need to destroy their technology," she explained to Captain Sung Choi. "We just need to introduce enough chaos to break their connection." J. Park's team had been collecting alien technological fragments from multiple resistance attack sites. Each piece was carefully studied, reverse-engineered, understood. The prototype they developed looked nothing like a weapon. A small device, no larger than a smartphone, capable of generating quantum interference patterns that could potentially blind entire alien communication networks. Their first large-scale test happened unexpectedly. An alien patrol ship appeared over the Taiwan Research Center. Instead of hiding, Hyun-Lee's team activated their quantum disruptor. The results were shocking. The massive alien vessel suddenly lost all coordination. Its energy shields flickered. Navigation systems collapsed. For the first time, humans watched an alien ship become completely vulnerable. Resistance groups worldwide received the transmission. The impossible had happened. Humanity had found a way to fight back. Captain Choi understood this was more than a technological breakthrough. It was a psychological turning point. Humans could now challenge the collective's technological dominance. Production of the quantum disruptor began in secret locations. Underground factories, abandoned industrial zones, places the collective would never expect. Each device was carefully crafted, small, portable, capable of generating massive communication interference. Scientists from different backgrounds collaborated. Computer experts, quantum physicists, military strategists. The global resistance network transformed. No longer were they just surviving. They were preparing to counterattack. Intelligence suggested the collective was beginning to understand human adaptation capabilities. Their invasion strategies started becoming more aggressive, more desperate. But humanity had discovered something profound. Technology was a tool. Creativity was the real weapon. Hyun-Lee's team continued improving the quantum disruptor. Each version became more sophisticated, more precise, capable of targeting specific alien communication frequencies with increasing accuracy. Military survivors began planning strategic operations. Not massive confrontations, but precise calculated strikes designed to introduce maximum chaos into alien communication networks. The first major counterattack happened over the Pacific Ocean. A small resistance fleet, equipped with modified quantum disruptors, managed to disable an entire alien battle group. Ships that seemed invincible just months ago now drifted helplessly. President David Kim received the report with cautious optimism. "We are not just surviving," he told his remaining government officials. "We are fighting back." Alien response was predictably algorithmic. They would attempt to patch their communication vulnerabilities, develop countermeasures, adjust their invasion strategies. But humans had introduced something the collective couldn't comprehend: genuine unpredictability. Each resistance group developed its own unique adaptation strategies. In the Australian outback, former mining engineers created electromagnetic pulse generators. In Canadian wilderness, indigenous survival experts developed communication techniques that didn't rely on traditional technologies. The quantum disruptor became more than a weapon. It became a symbol of human resilience. J. Park looked at the global resistance map. Blue markers, representing human-controlled zones, were slowly expanding. The red markers, representing alien-controlled territories, were shrinking. They weren't winning the war, not yet. But they had transformed from a species on the brink of extinction to a fighting force that could genuinely challenge the collective. As another sunset painted the research center, Hyun Lee allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had done what seemed impossible. They had found hope, and hope they were discovering was the most powerful technology of all. The final battle began over the Pacific Ocean. Massive alien motherships loomed against the morning sky, their metallic surfaces reflecting an otherworldly light. Captain Sung Choi stood on the bridge of the rebuilt international spacecraft, his hand steady on the navigation controls. Humanity's last hope was a desperate plan. Years of resistance had taught them one critical lesson. Victory would come through intelligence, not brute force. Hyun Lee's quantum disruptor technology had been perfected. Small devices, now integrated into every resistance weapon system, could potentially disable the collective's entire communication network. But timing was everything. The alien fleet seemed invincible. Thousands of ships stretched across the horizon, their energy signatures blocking out natural light. Conventional weapons would have been useless months ago. Now they had a chance. J. Park's communication team worked frantically. Complex algorithms, quantum communication patterns. Every piece of technology humanity had learned from years of resistance was about to be tested. "Target acquired," a young technician announced. Her voice was calm, steady. Years of survival had removed unnecessary emotions. The first wave of attacks came from unexpected locations: underwater bases, modified satellites, ground-based quantum interference generators. The collective's computational system struggled to process the random attack patterns. Dr. Elena Rodriguez had spent years studying alien communication networks. Her research revealed a critical vulnerability. The collective's entire technological system operated on a precise mathematical synchronization. Introduce enough chaos, and the entire network would collapse. Their first major breakthrough came when multiple quantum disruptors fired simultaneously. Alien ships suddenly lost coordination. Navigation systems collapsed. Energy shields flickered and died. President David Kim watched from the emergency command center. Humanity had transformed from a species on the brink of extinction to a fighting force capable of challenging a technologically superior civilization. The battle wasn't just about physical combat. It was a war of adaptation, of intelligence, of pure human survival instinct. Resistance groups worldwide launched coordinated attacks. Australian mining engineers used modified electromagnetic pulse generators. Canadian wilderness survival experts introduced communication techniques that defied alien scanning technologies. Each resistance group had become a specialized unit, not traditional military formations, but adaptive, intelligent fighting teams that understood the true nature of survival. Hours of intense combat followed. The alien fleet, once considered invincible, began to show critical vulnerabilities. Ships that seemed impenetrable months ago now drifted helplessly. Hyun Lee's final breakthrough came during the most intense moment of the battle. A complex quantum Interference pattern that could potentially disable the entire collective communication network. Fire quantum disruptor sequence, she commanded. The results were instantaneous. Alien ships began to lose coordination. Communication networks collapsed. For the first time, the collective looked genuinely vulnerable. Captain Choi understood this was more than a military victory. This was a demonstration of human adaptability, of survival instinct, of the ability to transform limitations into strengths. The final alien mothership fell over the empty Pacific waters. No massive explosion, just a quiet technological collapse. Survivors around the world received the transmission. Cheers erupted in underground resistance camps, in hidden research centers, in refugee zones that had become strongholds of human determination. They hadn't just survived, they had fought back. J. Park looked at the global communication map. Blue markers, representing human-controlled zones, now covered most of the planet. The red markers representing alien territories had disappeared. President Kim's victory speech was simple. We did not choose this conflict, but we defined our response. The victory wasn't about technological superiority. It was about something more profound: human spirit, adaptability, the ability to transform challenges into opportunities. Years of resistance had taught humanity a critical lesson. Technology was a tool, but creativity, determination, the ability to adapt, these were the real weapons. As the first post-invasion sunset painted the sky, humanity looked up, no longer afraid, no longer vulnerable. Ready, the universe had just become much larger, and humanity was ready to explore it.